Open floor plans suck.
Huh?
Don't just listen to me. This is from a Reddit post. Seriously, almost every modern floor plan I've seen recently is just one big great room with massive echoing ceilings, a kitchen on one side, dining in the middle or off to the side, and one big living room. The only closed off spaces are bedrooms or maybe an office/study. I don't understand. So yeah, that was from a Reddit post. And I'm hearing a lot that people are just not liking these open floor plans anymore. And even from you, my viewers, and I'm going to share some of your comments a little later on. So in this video, we're going to talk about why open floor plans are on its way out. Now, if you are living in an open floor plan, you love it, that's great. Or if that's what you desire when you're looking for a home, you want to have that open floor plan concept, that's great. I'm not here to tell you you should not buy a house with an open floor plan concept. I'm just pointing out the cons to this. I will also go into what you can do if you do have an open floor concept, you're not liking it. I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to help define the spaces and also to help mitigate some of the noise. So let's get into this right now. First, I want to dive into the history of the open floor plan concept. Now, this goes back to Frank Lloyd Wright. He was an architect. He was very big out in California. And this goes back to like the 1950s. That's how far back open floor plan concept goes. Initially, back in the 50s, when this design came to be, it was just combining the dining area and the living room space, and the kitchen was kept separate because the idea back then was they didn't want to have guests coming into the kitchen. So they had an open concept of the dining area into the living room. Fast forward to the 1990s and to the 2000s. Now they expanded that where the kitchen, dining, and living room is all in one big space. Now, the way the kitchen is somewhat defined from the rest of the space is they usually put these big islands in the kitchen. So it kind of creates some separation. But honestly, it's just 3 rooms jammed into one large space. What are the biggest things why people don't like these open floor concepts anymore? Number one, they're noisy. Right? When you have people in the kitchen cooking and then you have people sitting watching TV in the living space, or you have somebody sitting in the dining area that's like maybe on a Zoom call, they're doing work, it gets chaotic. So the lack of privacy is the biggest issue. Number 2, the heating costs and the cooling costs tend to be higher when you have these open concepts because it's such a large space to heat and cool. It does get more expensive with your utilities. Another reason why people don't like it, it could appear cluttered. Yes, sometimes, kids are leaving their toys or just their stuff in the living area. The kitchen has dishes and pots and pans all over. It just appears cluttered and people are just not liking that anymore. Now, even interior designers are not liking the open floor concept anymore, mainly because you have the lack of privacy. It's hard to define the spaces. And it's just, again, the whole thing about being cluttered and trying to find another space to put all this stuff. The designers are really just not big fans of this anymore. Now, let's fast forward to the pandemic. Now, it was the pandemic that was changing people's minds about this open floor concept because of the need of more defined spaces. People are still working hybrid or they're working fully remote, so they need a dedicated workspace. They can't just be hanging out on the couch on their computer or sitting at the dining room table doing their work anymore when you got all other chaos going on around you. It's just making it more difficult for people to get their work done. So they need a defined space. A Pew Research poll just found that roughly 20% of Americans live in multi-generational households. So what does that mean? Now there's a demand to have an in-law suite or to have 2 primary bedrooms for the grandparents and the parents. So there's more of a need for separate spaces for everybody living in the home. So I wanted to share with you a couple of comments I got from you guys, my viewers, telling me your thoughts on the open floor plan concept. And yeah, you guys aren't really liking it that much. Like, for example, this comment, open floor plans also suck for people with dogs. Finding a good place to confine the dog or put a baby gates is harder because the hallways and threshold spaces are just too big. I can understand that. So now what people have to do is they have to create like a pen for their dogs. And that doesn't look very nice when you have like a big like circular gate in the middle of your family room. then you're looking at it from your kitchen and from the dining room. Yes, that's not very attractive. Then we have this comment. We were going to build a home, and that was my request, was to have a non-open floor plan. I spend lots of time in the kitchen, and my dream was to have a private kitchen breakfast area. The plan to build sadly did not work out. But this person had identified that her need was, no, I can't have a kitchen. I need a separate kitchen space so I can cook, right? A lot of people still want to do that, to have their own space. They don't like having people hovering over them while they're cooking. And then I love this comment. I knew it probably wasn't just me that hated the open floor plan design. Wasn't sure exactly why, but after reading many comments, I now know why I hate them. Maybe if you put a basketball hoop on either end of the main room, it would make sense to me. And believe me, there's a lot more from where that came from. I mean, I could have put a ton more comments on here that I had, but I just gave you just a little snippet of what the viewers are saying about these open floor concepts. Hey, I'm here to remind you, if you are looking to buy a home or even sell a home, but you need to be connected to a real estate agent in your market, I got you covered. Scan the QR code, or you can click that link down below in the description box, fill out the forms, and I will get back to you with an agent in your market. Now, again, I'm not saying you should never buy a house with an open floor plan. It does make sense for some people. Now, say if you're just a couple buying a house together and you like to entertain, open floor concepts can work for you, right? It's just easier for you to entertain people and socialize. But once you bring kids into the mix, that's where things can become challenging because of the noise, right? I'm just saying. But then some people do like for their young families to be able to see the kids, to know what they're doing. You're all in the same space. That could work for you as well. Open floor concepts also work in smaller homes. So if you bought a small home and you want it to feel larger, this is where the open floor concept would come into play, and it would definitely make that space feel much larger to you. You don't feel as confined since you're in a smaller home. Now, when you're shopping for your home, and you see a lot of these open floor concepts and you're thinking, oh, maybe I want to live in this. I think I want to have this design in my home. You got to ask yourself some serious questions before you commit to the open floor plan, because it can be difficult to change that back and put walls up. I'm just being honest with you. You need to ask yourself, do I need a separate quiet workspace, whether it's work from home or say you even homeschool your kids, or you just want to have a space for, like an office where people can go and do their work? Ask yourself, how often am I entertaining? So some people like this concept just for the purpose of entertaining. So if you're big into entertaining, you find that would be easier to entertain in an open floor concept, then that's fine. You also need to ask yourself, can I handle seeing all the clutter all the time? Because I will tell you, you are going to see it, especially if you have young kids. And I'm not knocking on the kids. Listen, I raised 3 myself, and there's always stuff around the house all the time. And the biggest complaint is people say that there's just so much stuff and clutter, and no matter what they do, they pick it up, and then next day it's back to the same clutter. So think about it. Between the kitchen, your pots and pans and dishes all over the place, and then your family room, you have whatever books and the kids' toys. There's a lot going on there. So can you cope with that? Would you mind living with that and seeing that every day? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself before you commit to buying a house with an open floor concept. Now, if you're in a home right now with the open floor concept and you're just like, I can't take this anymore, a couple of things that you can do without having to put up walls. I mean, ideally, you probably want to put up a wall, but it's going to be hard to do given the way the design is. So what you can do is you can still try to define the spaces with rugs, area rugs. So you have an area rug in the living space, area rug underneath the dining room table. With the noise and the acoustics, the way to cut that down is you have soft furnishing and, again, area rugs that will help bring the acoustics down. Now, as far as that mess and that clutter, you got to define a space of where you're going to put all of that stuff. Now, sometimes there are mud rooms that are off the kitchen or utility rooms. Maybe you define that as that's the place where all the crap goes, like the books, the toys, all that stuff. To help make it a little easier and easier on the eyes, just find a space to get it out of that room. So yeah, this design trend was very popular for many years, but it looks like it's shifting more and more away from that. So listen, drop it in the comments. Are you looking for a home right now with an open floor concept? What do you like about it? If you're living in a home with an open floor concept, what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? I want to know. Tell me. Let's talk about it. Not only did the open floor plans like kind of can make some people feel off, like the space is too open for them, but there's other design trends, especially in homes that were built after 2010, that really feel off to a lot of people. You want to learn more about it, you can watch this video right here. Thank you so much for watching me today to get your dose of real estate reality. My name is Jackie Baker, and I will see you next time.